Hello everyone, this is the Astrofiend and I'm back with a new video. This video is a bit different because I'm going to be doing an astrological analysis, a TV show, Roswell's characters. And what I'm referring to is the original Roswell's and not the reboot. And I'll give you more information and what I think later on for the reboot. But I'm talking about the original series. And this is a bit new and something I want to do for different shows that I like, not including, well, not just this, but other shows, popular shows, current shows, past shows, and just different shows, and my astrological analysis of each of the characters. Moving forward, I just want to bring some things to your attention before I move on. One, this show's about aliens, so obviously it's about creatures that weren't born on this planet. But for this purposes, and just to fit the way I want this video to go, I'm just going to be referring to them and creating astrological information for them, because even though they are aliens, they also were pretty much raised on Earth. They don't have any memory of their times in their alien planet, and they actually came to the Earth as children, even though in the alien country or planet, I guess, they were actually full grown. So it's a bit strange, but pretty much to get into it quickly, they were actually hybrids. So I guess there's some type of war going on in their home planet, and it's 4 main characters that are aliens. And pretty much there was a war going on in their main planet. So in order to keep them going, by the way, they're also royalty. They're known as the Royal Four. And I guess from the left we have Isabel Stevens. Oh shit. No, Isabel Evans. So Isabel Evans, Max Evans. And the third alien is Michael, and there's also going to be a 4th alien later on in its series named Tess, and these are all alien hybrids, so their DNA was mixed in with human DNA, so alien DNA and human DNA, so they could survive on the planet. And they came in as children, as I'll get more to that later on, but I just want to put that out there. They're aliens of human experience, so pretty much I'm going to be giving them and assigning them birth dates. And for some of the characters, they already have birth dates. The second thing is there are going to be some spoiler alerts ahead. Not that many, because I am talking about astrology, but there's still going to be some spoiler alerts. So keep that in mind. Lastly, the third and last thing, I'm also going to be inserting the astrological information of the actors that play these characters. I'm not going to do it for every video I plan on doing it, but I just want to showcase an example of astrology, because sometimes when we're watching fictional shows, the actors' own astrological chart and astrological information peeks out and kind of absorbs into the character. So let's say you're watching a show with a character that's an Aries, but the show's character technically really doesn't have a sign. You may think that sign behaves or acts like an Aries, and maybe that's because the actor that plays the character is an Aries. So for this video, I'm just going to be including the astrological information of the actors, some of the actors that play the main actors that are in Roswell. Okay, the first character, her name is Liz Parker, and for Liz Parker, I consider her a Virgo rising, a Sagittarius sun, Pisces moon, Scorpio Venus, and Aquarius Mars. And this is the actress's natal chart. Well, not natal chart, but natal chart placements. And Liz Parker is played by Shuri Appleby, and these are her placements. And for Liz Parker, I actually decided to keep much of the original actress's astrological placements because I think it made sense. But I also switched it up a bit. I put a rising sign or ascendant sign as Virgo, even though Shuri Appleby's natal chart, she doesn't have a rising sign because they don't know her actual time of birth. I also switched her Mars from Sagittarius to Aquarius, and it's not that much of a big deal in terms of switching them out. But I think for her character, Mars in Aquarius is much better than Mars in Sagittarius. And mainly that's because, like, throughout the whole series, like, she's very stubborn. She's into Max. Like, they're in love. They're like star-crossed lovers and all that other crap. And I just think it's an interesting sort of role. To get into Liz Parker's astrology some more, I chose Virgo rising and Aquarius Mars for her because she's very logical. She wants to be a scientist, and I feel that she, as an example, she needed and got proof that Max was an alien. Like, she pretty much stole his DNA and used his blood and used it and tested it to see, like, what the fuck is he? She also has a Pisces moon, and I think it's because she comes across as very sweet, sensitive, and her story has a very like Neptunian themes: death, rebirth, sacrifice. I chose Scorpio Venus because throughout the series she pretty much only had eyes for Max, and she is low-key a ride or die bitch, like aka her going to jail for him. Pretty much she's loyal. And even though she was a bit weirded out, she wasn't freaked out like some of the characters when she found out that Max was an alien and that there was aliens around her. Also, she doesn't play around, so like acts, tests, if you know what I mean. The next character is Max Evans, and for him, I gave him a Capricorn rising, a Pisces sun, Pisces moon, Capricorn Venus, and Capricorn Mars. The original actor that played Mars, this is his natal chart placements, and for him, it's interesting to note that this actor, he is a Capricorn, but he does have a Pisces moon. And he also has a Mercury in Capricorn. But yeah, I'm just giving you an example of how his natal chart looks compared to what I think Max is. It's important to know from Max Evans is that he is one of few characters that had birth dates. And the site that I used to get information was fandom.com and Roswell, like the original Roswell series. And for him, he has a birth date, and I believe Isabel, she also has a birth date, and Tess also has a birth date. So I just decided to go with it because it kind of fits. Anyway, for Max, he has a Capricorn stellium with rising Venus and Mars in Capricorn, and it's because of his character. He's seen as very shy, serious, responsible, and driven to protect and be responsible for his alien hybrid homies and the humans that know his secret. And just to let you know, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so there's like a delayed gratification, huge responsibilities, and other themes related to Capricorn. I chose Pisces moon because he is very like quiet, brooding, and sensitive. Plus, in his story, he also has very Neptunian themes: death, rebirth, sacrifice, being otherworldly. Like, come on, that's like a major one. And I think this is perfect for Max Evans because when Capricorn is mixed with Pisces, there's this grounded martyr like syndrome that's going on. Think along the lines of like Martin Luther King Jr. and his like placements. He had a Pisces moon and a Capricorn sun. And FYI, I'm not like comparing like Martin Luther King Jr. and his effects on the rest of the world of a fictional character, but I'm just using like his astrology to illustrate a point. Like Capricorn with the seriousness, with assuming responsibilities and being very dutiful, and to mix that with like Neptunianness and like Piscesness, which is just about like sacrifice. And I feel that Max is always willing to sacrifice his life, happiness, and love to protect everyone around him. And we see that with different examples. Like an example, spoiler alert by the way, but there's three main aliens, but towards I guess the ending of the first season or the second season, I'm not sure, but they brought in a new alien that wasn't erased among the aliens in Roswell, and her name is Tess. And Tess's mission was really to get a baby from Max. There's much more to the story, but Max was willing to give up his love with his soulmate Liz Parker to be with like Tess, even though he didn't really love her, and even though he kind of didn't want to. But that's just an example. He was willing to sacrifice and step up and take responsibility, which is why I decided to give Max these placements. Next, I'm going to be getting into the relationship of Max and Liz and how it's like a Neptunian love story. And just to illustrate like a little bit about their backstory, Liz works at a restaurant that her family owns, and the series pretty much begins when she's shot by a customer and Max saves her by healing her with his powers, and that kind of propels the story forward. So already there's like themes of like Neptunianness, like death and rebirth, but I'll get more into that in my next slide. So their story, Max and Liz and Max's, it's a Neptunian story. Like, it's a story, it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet in the fact that it's like a forbidden love. Not in the sense that people are trying to forbid it, it's just weird. Like, as I mentioned, Max is otherworldly, and it's like crossing boundaries. Like, between, I guess, species. With aliens, yeah, aliens would be like sort of a different species. And it's just like, in a sense, it's not that it's forbidden because of what it is. It's forbidden because, first, like, he's like a alien hybrid. And I'm sure if the government were to know, and in the series, it does show that. But the government, they're after him. They want to study him. They want to dissect him. So in a sense, it is kind of forbidden because they can't express it the way it can be expressed, if that makes any sense. Like, it can't be expressed in a way like other normal human to human like couples can express it. She can't just like go to her father and be like, hey, I want to be with an alien. He's an alien hybrid. He has powers. Because first, like, that'd be kind of weird, and second, like, her dad would probably be afraid and like think she's like a weirdo and either embrace her or like disown her. And then, to be honest, in this day and age, well, even back then, when Roswell was first out, like, he probably would disown her, be like, my daughter wants to be with an alien hybrid. What? Ew. Anyway, that's besides the point. Okay, so it's a Neptunian love story, so there's themes of death, rebirth, sacrifice. Because Liz was dying. I don't necessarily say she was dead, but she was dying. So she was in between life and death. And by Max stepping in and saving her life, he gave her new life. And he sacrificed his secret and pretty much his anonymity, along with his alien hybrid sister and his alien hybrid best friend, and to save Liz, whom he always had a crush on. And I gave Liz and Max both Pisces moons because they understand each other emotionally, and they're both willing to die and sacrifice themselves for each other. So their moons will be conjunct with each other. I think their Venuses are sextile each other, which means that they have a very organic, easygoing connection. Liz, with her Venus in Scorpio, brings out the passion and humanity in Max, while Max brings out the love, loyalty, and risk in Liz. And I made their sun squared, but they're both mutable signs, so they know how to adjust to their situations. They're both not too stubborn, aka fixed. They're both not too like empowering over each other and trying to lead. They're both like, mellow. They're mellow. They know their situations, it's crazy, but they're able to adjust, which is very important. The next character is Michael, and for Michael, I gave him an Aquarius rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon, Capricorn Venus, and Cancer Mars. Michael is another alien hybrid, and he's Max's best friend, and he's also the love interest mainly of Maria, which is another character. This is the original actor that plays Michael's natal chart placements, and as you can see, the actor that plays him is also a Scorpio sun. So I kept that in because I was like, you know what, whatever, I could give him a Scorpio sun. It ain't that serious. Michael, to break everything down, I gave him an Aquarius rising. And to think of it, he's like sort of like a James Dean character in a sense. He's rebellious, angry, and just detached from his emotions. But on the flip side, he's very independent and an independent thinker. And I gave him an Aries moon because he is angry, like, and also like his moon is also square as Mars in like Cancer. And he's very impulsive, which can make him a bit selfish and self-interested. However, he is very strong and loyal, and he's also very protective of the ones he loves, and is willing to do things that Max can't and won't do. He's also Scorpio sun because of his intensity and his tendency not to immediately trust people. And I gave him a Capricorn Venus opposite Cancer Mars, and he has had a lot of growth throughout the series and has learned a lot of the moon and Sagittarian lessons, such as responsibility, how to love oneself and others, how to think and have empathy for others, dealing with the effects of the physical abuse his foster father put on him. And most of these lessons were learned from his relationship with Maria. The next character is Marika DeLuca, and for her, I gave her Aquarius rising, Gemini sun, Sagittarius moon, Cancer Venus, and Gemini Mars. For Maria, she's the best friend of Liz and the love interest of Michael. These are the original placement, well, not the original, but these are the placements, the natal chart placements of the original actress that plays Maria. And as you can see, she's a Pisces sun and a Virgo moon, and she has Mercury in Aquarius and Venus in Aquarius and Mars in Pisces. And I switch it around, like Maria's still a mutable sign sun, and her moon is still a mutable sign, and I gave her an Aquarius rising because she is pretty different, and her Mars is still in a mutable sign. For Maria, I gave her an Aquarius rising because she's a very free-spirited type of person. She's kind of a wild card, and she has a unique and personal style, as you can see in her hairstyles throughout the series. Like, she had this weird pixie bowl cut going on in the first series, and then out of nowhere her hair was very long, and she just kept switching up her hair. Anyway, I gave her Sagittarius moon and Gemini sun because she's a very happy-go-lucky, whimsical person, and in the series she's kind of a comical relief. She's very independent, she speaks her mind, and she needs the space to occasionally do her own thing. She values communication, and she's very changeable. And I gave her some groundedness with and a little bit of depth with Cancer Venus, and that's her emotional center. She was raised by a single mom, so she expects commitment and someone to be there for her and to be more emotionally available for her. And lastly, I gave her a Gemini Mars because even though Michael is her love interest, throughout the series, like, she also, like, kind of develops a thing with someone else. And I would say she's not as serious in relationships, like romantic relationships, as Liz is, like her best friend. Because at some point, like, her and Michael are always breaking up and getting back together and arguing and all that other ish. Yeah, but this is what I think Maria is. So their story, Max and Liz and Max's, it's a Neptunian story. Like, it's a story, it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet in the fact that it's like a forbidden love. Not in the sense that people are trying to forbid it, it's just weird. Like, as I mentioned, Max is otherworldly, and it's like crossing boundaries. Like, between, I guess, species. With aliens, yeah, aliens would be like sort of a different species. And it's just like, in a sense, it's not that it's forbidden because of what it is. It's forbidden because, first, like, he's like a alien hybrid. And I'm sure if the government were to know, and in the series, it does show that. But the government, they're after him. They want to study him. They want to dissect him. So in a sense, it is kind of forbidden because they can't express it the way it can be expressed, if that makes any sense. Like, it can't be expressed in a way like other normal human to human like couples can't express it. She can't just like go to her father and be like, hey, I want to be with an alien. He's an alien hybrid. He has powers. Because first, like, that would be kind of weird. And second, like, her dad would probably be afraid and like think she's like a weirdo and either embrace her or like disown her. And then, to be honest, in this day and age, well, even back then, when Roswell was first out, like, he probably would have disowned her, be like, my brother wants to be with an alien hybrid. What? Ew. Anyway, that's besides the point. Okay, so it's a Neptunian love story, so there's themes of death, rebirth, sacrifice. Because Liz was dying. I don't necessarily say she was dead, but she was dying. So she was in between life and death. And by Max stepping in and saving her life, he gave her a new life. And he sacrificed his secret and pretty much his anonymity, along with his alien hybrid sister and his alien hybrid best friend, and to save Liz, whom he always had a crush on. And I gave Liz and Max both Pisces moons because they understand each other emotionally, and they're both willing to die and sacrifice themselves for each other. So their moons will be conjunct each other. I think their Venuses are sextile each other, which means that they have a very organic, easygoing connection. Liz, with her Venus and Scorpio, brings out the passion and humanity in Max, while Max brings out the love, loyalty, and risk in Liz. And I made their sun squared, but they're both mutable signs, so they know how to adjust to their situations. They're both not too stubborn, aka fixed. They're both not too like empowering over each other and trying to lead. They're both like, mellow. They're mellow. They know their situations it's crazy, but they're able to adjust, which is very important. There is Isabel Evans, and her astrology placements, in my opinion, are Libra rising, Scorpio sun, Capricorn moon, Virgo Venus, Libra Mars. And she's one of the 4 aliens that's part of the Royal 4. She's Max's sister and friend to Michael, and she's also was a love interest to a character on the show named Alex. This is the actress natal chart placements, and Isabel Evans is played by Katherine Heigl, and I pretty much changed everything. And yeah, so just giving you an example about how Katherine Heigl's natal chart looks. Okay, to get into Isabel Evans' astrology, her Libra rising, clearly she's a beautiful, tall, popular girl that everyone loves. And Scorpio sun, because she already has this birthday on her fandom page, so I just went along with it. To be honest, I don't really see her as a Scorpio sun, but I can't really think of another sign she can be, especially with her other placements. Whatever the case, I would say Isabel Evans is a very low key and not that changeable. Like, she's definitely not like a mutable sun sign, like hell no. Maybe a cardinal, but definitely not mutable. And I picked Virgo Venus for her because she's very detailed and she's obsessed with perception and perfection. Like, just to give an example, Michael refers to her as a Christmas Nazi in an episode. So she has like that sort of personality. Like, and this is a bit random, but she fell in love with a geeky human of lower social status than her. And mutable in that way, mutable Venuses can fall in love very quickly, and they could pretty much fall in love with anyone, to be quite honest. But more of a Virgo Venus, like, even though she's naturally beautiful with like a Libra rising and naturally like attractive, like it takes work to like be attractive. Like, yes, you can have natural beauty, but if your hair is like messed up, if you don't know how to wear clothes right, or like have like decent makeup, not saying that you need makeup, but if you don't know how to do your own makeup or dress yourself, then ew. But like, she's a Virgo Venus, and yeah, I would say she has a Capricorn moon and a Libra Mars, and her moon squares Mars, but not in the way that you would think, because another character that I mentioned with moon square Mars is Michael. But with Isabel, one, since she is a female, that's her gender, her anger is directed differently than Michael's. And her anger is the fact that she hates being an alien. She views her alienness as a hindrance and very restrictive. This combo is very traditional and pretty much Isabel, she wants to fit in and be accepted. I would say her backstory is her alien counterpart on her home planet was a traitorous alien skank, but she's not. Like, to be quite honest, Isabel, like, she doesn't really have a desire to rebel, but more to conform. Like, she isn't like Max in the fact that she doesn't like hate being a human or don't quite understand it. And she isn't like Michael, who just, well, the way he starts out is that he hates everyone and he doesn't trust everyone. She's not like that at all. She wants to fit in. She doesn't really care for her being an alien. And she just wants to be like everyone else and be like regular degular. One major part of Isabel's character is her relationship with Alex. But I would say, before I even like start that, there is a weird sort of connection between Isabel Evans' character and it's like a mini conspiracy, and her character and the actress's character on Grey's Anatomy. So Katherine Heigl, she plays Isabel Evans on Roswell, but she later also played Izzy Stevens on Grey's Anatomy. In both respective shows, she was in love with a guy named Alex. Like, there isn't much more to the conspiracy than that. I just think it's kind of funny and kind of weird. I'm like, are they the same person? Is Isabel Evans Izzy Stevens from Grey's Anatomy? Is that what's going on? Anyway, that aside, I would say Isabel seems to get some normalness and some normalcy in her relationships. And I would say in the last season of Roswell's, Isabel marries a human, and her parents didn't really approve because she's kind of young. I personally was a bit confused by this because the relationship and the marriage felt very rushed and forced, and I attribute that to like it actually being rushed and kind of poor writing, because this was their last like season of the show. So whatever the case, like it does show a pattern about how Isabel uses her relationship as part of her desire to be seen as normal. Hence the Virgo, Venus, Libra, Mars part of herself. Like she wants to be normal, and she thinks getting married and being with regular human guys is like a way to go about it. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being normal, settling down, finding a guy and all that. It's just that the fact that she's very insecure about who she actually is, which is an alien hybrid, that causes problems. But I would say they didn't really give her character a chance to explore that part of her side and part of her character, which is unfair. Like if there was at least like one more season, maybe it would have been better for her character. Okay, the last character I'll be talking about is Tess Harding, and this makes the last alien that's part of the Royal Four. And Tess is originally Max's wife on his home planet, and Max is known as Zan, so his name isn't Max. They all have different names, but I'm just keeping to their human names because it's easier to pronounce, honestly. But Tess, she's a Scorpio rising, Taurus sun, Capricorn moon, Gemini Venus, Pisces Mars. Tess Harding is played by Imelda Raven. I hope I'm saying that right. And these are the actress's natal chart placements. Like Emile or Emily, whatever her name is. She's very Capricorn. She's very Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Mercury. She has Venus in Aquarius and Mars in Libra. And with Tessa's character, like, I don't see all that at all. I see something completely different. So I'm just going off of all the signs and placements that I chose. For Tess, I see her as a Scorpio rising. When she first was introduced to the show, she was seen as a mysterious outsider and treated with distrust. But later on in the series, people tended to like her, as I gave her a Taurus sun and a Capricorn moon, and that's because she's very focused and goal oriented, and she has a goal and she'll get to it by any means necessary. She's extremely focused, shameless, and headstrong, and Tess often uses her sensuality as a tool to get what she wants. And her goal is to return back to her home planet and to have a baby by Max. And I would say she does succeed in her goal. She also has a Gemini Venus and Pisces Mars. So she's very skilled at trickery and deception, while at the same time she is easily manipulated and can manipulate others easily. And spoiler alert, but she unintentionally kills Alex, who's Liz's and Maria's friend and Isabel's love interest for a time being. And she kills him by prolonged use of her powers known as mind warp. And mind warp is literally what it sounds like. She like manipulates people using her minds with their mind, and she can like control people and tell them what to do by mind warping them. And it's part of her grand scheme to go back to her home planet. And honestly, I think she's a very complex character, and I see her as a victim, but mostly a perpetrator. if you don't know her backstory, she was raised by Nacito, who was an alien shape-shifting traitor who was originally sent to protect the alien hybrids, aka the Royal Four, but turned his back and made a deal with the Royal Four's enemy. And the deal was that Tess was supposed to have Max's baby and return Max and the rest of the Royal Four back to the home planet so she can offer it up to Max's enemy and have them killed, pretty much. But I would say, in some ways, she is a victim of her circumstances because she was raised by an alien. She didn't know, like, she is not from her home planet. She remembers everything from her home planet. She's in this strange planet known as Earth, and the person that she trusted the most, like, which was Narciso, who was also an alien, the only alien that she knew until she met the rest of the Royal Four again. Like, he, like, used her. But I would say she didn't think for herself. That was her problem. She went along with it, and she didn't think for herself. That's why I say she's mostly the perpetrator, because she's clearly intelligent. Like, if you can manipulate yourself, you have manipulate others, then you have some form of intelligence. Like, you're not like a complete, like, dummy. So, but she didn't think for herself, and she was so stubborn and so goal oriented, but she didn't understand that the other aliens, that's not what they wanted. Like, in the series, she was like, oh, before she left, and when she left Earth, she was pregnant with Max's baby. But before she left Earth, like moments before she like left in the spaceship, she was like, you never could understand what I wanted. All I wanted was to go home. But she couldn't put herself in other people's shoes. Like, she couldn't understand that's not what they wanted. And her forcing it was never going to happen because that's not what they wanted. And the truth was going to come out eventually. Whatever the case, she in the end redeemed herself by sacrificing her life to protect everyone. And that's like where the Pisces Mars part comes in. And, you know, it's like a Neptunian trait to like want to self-sabotage and self-sacrifice themselves. So in some ways she was able to redeem herself through that action. I just want to make a quick point about Tessa's and Max's relationship. And pretty much the point is that the relationship in some ways maybe can be seen as Neptunian, because Max, I chose Pisces. Well, I didn't choose a Pisces sun part, but he's a Pisces sun to me, and a Pisces moon. So pretty much, and she's like a Pisces Mars, and pretty much between them, the Mars Sun Mars moon connection that they got going on, I would say there's a lot of sexuality and sexual tension between them, and I think that's what Max was attracted to. But it was never a real relationship. It was forced on her, and she supposedly loved him, but he didn't really love her. Like, yeah, he was attracted to her, and that's partially because she mind warped him, but he didn't like her ass. Ew, to be honest, no one really liked her. They tolerated her, but they did not like her. Whatever the case, Like, I guess that's like the downside of like a Neptunian contact, is that like when it's fake, it's completely fake. And even if someone goes along with it, it's not meant to last, and it isn't going to last. As you can see, Tess manipulated, mind warps, killed, and did all sorts of ish to like try to like get Max to fall in love with her and be with her, and it was not true. And even with Tess, I think Tess knew deep down that she didn't really love Max. She just used that as an excuse and as a way to like get to her goals, which was to, you know, get impregnated by Max. Yeah, but that's just my thoughts. Lastly, I just quickly want to talk about the new Roswell reboot, Roswell, New Mexico. To be honest, when I first saw like the trailer, I was offended. I felt disrespected. And the original Roswell wasn't like my favorite show, but I just saw the actors and I was just like, oh no, what is this? I was just like, ew, gross, next. And I only watched the trailer, and who knows, maybe I'll give the actual show a chance. But I would say I have a problem with showmakers and like networks just rebooting series and like remaking series, because honestly I think it's more of a money grab than anything else. And I mean, it's okay to like it be a money grab, but come on now, like it should be better, you know what I mean? And who knows, maybe it's just a sucky trailer, but I don't know, I think some things should be left in the past. But who knows, maybe I'll like it. Like, random, but I remember watching Vampire Diaries, and when I first watched the first episode, I couldn't get through it. I thought it was so corny and just so whack, and I was just like, ew. But then years later, I started watching it again, and I actually enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it because I allowed like the corniness to like subside, and just to understand the point of the show, which is not about vampires. I know it is, but but to be quite honest, vampires is like played out. They need to come up with something else. But that's beside the point. Like the show Vampire Diaries is about the relationship between brothers, kind of like Supernatural. Whatever the case, I'm getting besides myself, and I do actually want to do Supernatural and Vampire Diaries. But who knows? Hopefully it'll be good. Whatever the case, this is the end of the video. It's very long. I'm sorry about that. I can't help it. And I'm going to post a blog up about it on my blog, theastrofiend.com, so you can see it there if you want to read. And yeah, thank you. What do you think about all the characters and their signs? Let me know, and I'll see you in my next sort of video. Peace out. Bye.